Well, good afternoon again from my workshop journey, and we left the story last week with me having problems with sanding. I was planning to use the palm sander, but all of the Velcro on the plate had stopped working and the sanding sheets just weren't sticking to it. So I gave the belt sander a try. Although that did sand, it was too uncontrollable, so it's not something I would like to do with all of the detail work that I have. So what I've done during the week is gone and got myself a replacement base plate. Now this has come, it's a proper Bosch spare part, and Bosch calls this a swivel plate, and you'll notice it comes in two halves, one with a fixing and one with self-adhesive. So I've dug the instructions out. First thing to do is to replace the swivel base, and then we can crack on with the project. Now the first thing that I need to do is to take the old plate off, and according to the instructions that's just a case of pushing that lever fully to the right, and that swivel plate will just pull off like that. This bottom piece is just held on by adhesive. It's a self-adhesive strip, so that's just a case of pulling that off and then cleaning it up. In fact, this is the most awkward part of the whole process, is just making sure that that is clean and free from dust. But for all that I've used this, it's not doing too bad. It's the motor drives the fan here, which pushes all of the dust into a collection box. So that's the old one. The new one, and that just pulls off like that. The new one slips on like that, and then push the clip back, and that front piece is firmly in place. Just take the backing sheet off the new one, the new sole plate. Make sure it's over the holes. There we go. Press down firmly. And that's done. All ready to start the new sanding procedure. This is the 80 grit that I've got on here. I'm just going to tidy up a little bit on these panel raised sides, just to again try and get rid of some of the burning that was left, but at least this is more controllable. And that's much more controllable. There's still a little bit of burning in one or two places, but I'm going to leave it at that. I don't want to take too much off, because otherwise I'm going to spoil the profile. That's that. So I'll come back to the sanding in a minute, You also might remember from a couple of weeks ago, or a couple of episodes ago, trying to correct the error that I made in cutting the base of the box. So I was putting some supports in there. I just want to show you how that's turned out. This is where I was gluing some support, and that's just one of the bracing pieces that I used. So I'd put those two long pieces in first of all, if you remember, and then I'd put these two smaller pieces in just to fill in a little bit of the gap in this corner, which was the worst. So that base is now very firm, very solid, and that is going to support whatever goes inside nicely. I'm pleased with the way that that's turned out, and now we can get back to the sanding. Now, I'm not going to bore you with all of the sanding that I'm going to be doing, but one thing I just wanted to mention, I've been round the edge now with the 80. I'm going to go over those with 120 and 180 grit. When I was sanding the banding down, I was using the 40 grit, and you might not be able to see it, but in a couple of places like here and here I have gouged into the top. So what I'm going to be doing first of all is just trying to get rid of these gouges from the 40 grit, and then I can go over the whole lot with the 120, 180. And I'm going to be doing that with the whole piece and get rid of the blood marks that I've made inadvertently when I've cut myself without realising. But that's my workshop journey. $180, $180, $120. There we go. So I've gone over the whole of the top with the 3 grades down to 180 grit, and that's looking really nice now. Next thing I'll do with the top when I come to finishing the whole project is to wipe it all over with white spirits. That will get rid of all of the dust. So that's the top. The next thing to do is just to go over quickly with the frame of the carcass. That's going to get rid of the pencil marks and any of the slight ridges, and we are cracking on nicely. Now, primarily with the pencil marks, it's along this rail where I've got the hinges. It's along the inside of this rail where I was working out where to put the lid stay, and then it's going over the outside just to get rid of some of the glue marks that have stubbornly refused to go, and just smoothing off some of the joints. I'm not going to be able to get rid of that step there, but across these joints here I just want to smooth those down. Now with this first sanding, just to get rid of the pencil marks, all I'm going to be doing is using the 120 grit. I don't need to do too much heavy sanding here because I've already sanded everything down on the belt sander before I fitted everything together. So that's the pencil marks inside there taken care of. So just make sure everything is nice and smooth. Little bit there that needs taking out. So that's gone over the whole piece with the 120 grit, and if I say so myself, I am really chuffed at the smoothness of the joints. Very little have I had to take off any of these joints here. This is the first time ever that I've been able to do that, and so my technique is getting better as I'm progressing. Just noticed a little bit of scorching there that I'll just take off, and then I'll go over everything with 180, and then we'll be ready for finishing. And that's the sanding done. Everything's gone better than I could ever have hoped, and so the next thing to do is to take the workpiece upstairs into our attic. That way it's going to acclimatise to a better temperature. Here in the workshop it's just going to be too cold for applying the finish, and I tend to use polyurethane varnish simply because it's easy, it's hard wearing, and it does give a nice gloss finish. Now that's my preference. I know Peter Parfitt from New Brick Workshop prefers Osmo. There are lots of other finishes, and it's whatever takes everybody's fancy, I suppose. So that's for next time. As I say, I'll take the workpiece inside so that it can acclimatise to the humidity. It can get up to a much better temperature for applying the varnish, and it will also allow the varnish to come up to room temperature as well. I tend to keep everything like that in this workshop. So thanks for watching this episode, and I'm certainly grateful for the support that you've given. I was really chuffed to receive the message from Steve about the lid closure, and really want to say thank you for your support, Steve, for Tim next door with the help and encouragement that he's provided, and let's get back to work, and I'll see you on the next episode.